COBOL is an English-like computer language. It's that way by design, meaning it's fairly easy to read, understand, and maintain. Compared with other programming languages, you'll find that each line of code is pretty transparent about what it's trying to do. That's often the first thing people notice about COBOL, that what it's trying to do is very easy to figure out, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of time tracing through code to make sense of it all. That's thanks in part to COBOL being standardized. So the way that a COBOL implementation should be approached is all described in great detail in that standardization. Now, COBOL has gone through several revisions over the years, so you do need to keep in mind which particular standard you're working with, particularly when you're working with code outside of this course. But it mostly comes down to the addition of a few new features, better support, and small tweaks to fix problems. COBOL, written specifically for the IBM Z mainframe operating system ZOS, is said to be Enterprise COBOL. The code you'll see here in this course is all Enterprise COBOL, and it all gets compiled and executed differently than COBOL you might be writing for other platforms. But it is also able to take advantage of hardware and operating system features unavailable anywhere else. So it still follows the current COBOL standardization, but it's written with enterprise systems in mind. Let's take a look at some of the basic COBOL syntax at a high level so you can get a better feel for the COBOL standard. Right up front, one of the key aspects of COBOL, some languages use spaces, some use tabs. COBOL is column dependent, meaning it looks at a line of code and expects certain things to be at certain positions in that line. Specifically, it's looking in 5 key areas of a 72-character line, and those look like this. The first section, columns 1 through 6, are the sequence number area. Sometimes these are blank, other times we use them to provide context to a series of statements. The next section is the indicator area, and it's a multi-purpose area. If we're going to leave a comment, an asterisk, a star, goes in here, or if we're continuing a previous line, it'll be a dash or a hyphen. It can also be a D for a debugging line, or a slash for source code listing formatting. Don't worry about all that just yet. We'll show you how and why you'll use those later on. Just remember, it's column 7, and it's 1 character. Next, we've got the A area, which goes from columns 8 to 11. In here, you'll find divisions, sections, paragraphs, level indicators, and other elements that give COBOL programs their structure. Right next to it, in columns 12 through 72, is the B area. This is where you put the actual statements, sentences, and clauses, the things that make a COBOL program, perform calculations, and do stuff. Then, last but not least, the identification area, running from columns 73 to 80. Well, the compiler might consider at least because it actually ignores it, so it doesn't consider it at all. It's actually an area the programmer can use for any purpose, so it's often just left blank. Now, when you're writing in a programming language, there are certain words we have to be careful of. Words like data, end, file, if, ready, set, until. Those are COBOL reserved words, and when the COBOL compiler sees those words, it thinks we're telling it to do something very specific. So we shouldn't say ready unless we mean what the compiler thinks it means. A full list of reserved words is available at the link in your guide. In the next video, we're going to talk about how all of this fits together in the program structure.